Padre Pio saw something so shocking while walking through the hallways of his convent that he stopped, paralyzed, unable to move. What his eyes beheld behind a closed door would forever change the way thousands of people understand the power of the Holy Rosary. And what you are about to hear could transform your nights forever. It was an afternoon in October 1941. War was tearing Europe apart, and suffering arrived daily at the small convent of San Giovanni Rotondo. Padre Pio had just finished hearing confessions and was walking slowly toward his cell, leaning against the walls because of the pain the stigmata caused in his feet. A young friar named Alberto accompanied him in silence. Suddenly, Padre Pio stopped in front of a closed room. His face transformed completely. His eyes filled with awe and a reverence so profound that Friar Alberto felt a chill run through his entire body. The saint slowly fell to his knees in the hallway, not caring about the pain the stigmata caused him. His lips trembled, and his eyes glistened with tears. After several minutes of absolute silence, Padre Pio spoke with his voice broken by emotion. "My son, if you could see what my eyes behold at this very moment, you would fall to your knees and never want to rise again." Friar Alberto did not understand. Behind that door was only the elderly brother Giuseppe, praying his rosary as he did every afternoon. A simple man whom no one considered special. A humble religious who had never received visions nor performed miracles. But what Padre Pio was seeing was something completely different. In that room, Saint Michael the Archangel is present, surrounded by legions of angels. They are formed for battle, protecting the brother from the enemy that is trying to disturb his prayer. And then he described something that seems impossible to imagine. Saint Michael is standing beside the bed with his flaming sword raised. His armor shines with a light that makes the midday sun look pale. Around him, countless angels form a protective circle. And every time the brother speaks a Hail Mary, that prayer transforms into a luminous rose that ascends to the throne of the Blessed Virgin. But the most astonishing thing was the last thing he said. "I can also see the demons that were trying to approach, fleeing in terror before the power of the rosary the brother holds in his hands." Think about this for a moment. A simple old man, alone in his room, praying the rosary. No audience, no witnesses. Without knowing he was being watched. And without realizing it, all of heaven had descended to protect him. Not because he was a famous saint, not because he was a priest with stigmata, but simply because he held a rosary in his hands and prayed with faith. Exactly as you could do this very night. If this does not give you chills, listen to what happened years later. In 1953, a woman named Maria Pompilio arrived at the convent, destroyed by grief. Her husband was dying. A mysterious fever was consuming him, and no doctor could cure him. She had been told to prepare the last sacraments. She had visited hospitals throughout the entire region searching for answers, but science had none. With tears in her eyes, she begged Padre Pio for help. He took her hands tenderly, not caring that his own stigmata were bleeding, and told her something extraordinary. "Tonight, place a blessed rosary under your husband's pillow. Sit beside his bed and pray the complete rosary with absolute faith. And be certain that Saint Michael the Archangel will be present in that room fighting for your husband as health." Maria obeyed. That night she placed the rosary under the pillow and began to pray. And then something supernatural began to happen. The room, which had been wrapped in a heavy and oppressive atmosphere, began to fill with an inexplicable peace. The very air seemed to vibrate with an invisible yet powerfully real presence. Maria felt she was not alone. Something had changed in that room, something she could not see, but that was more real than the walls surrounding her. When she reached the third mystery, her husband stopped tossing. His irregular breathing became slow and deep. When she finished the rosary, near midnight, the man opened his eyes for the first time in 3 days. His gaze was clear, with no trace of fever. The next day, the doctor could not believe what he was seeing. The illness had disappeared completely. There was no medical explanation. There was no scientific reason. The fever had simply gone, as if it had never existed. When Maria returned to the convent to give thanks, Padre Pio greeted her with a smile, and before she could speak, he simply told her, "I already know, my daughter." In 1958, a group of the faithful asked Padre Pio directly about the presence of angels during the Rosary. What he answered is perhaps the most powerful revelation he ever shared on this subject. And I need you to pay very close attention to these words, because they could change your spiritual life forever. If I told you everything I see when you pray, if you could behold the glory that descends upon a simple room where someone holds a rosary and speaks the name of Mary, you would fall to your knees and never want to rise again. And he continued with words we must engrave upon our hearts. Saint Michael the Archangel has a special devotion to the Rosary, because he knows that every Hail Mary is a praise to the one who defeated Satan with her humility. Where Mary is, there are all the holy angels. And Saint Michael takes his position as guardian of those who honor the Queen of Heaven. An elderly man named Antonio, who had been a soldier in the First World War and knew the true meaning of combat, asked if this meant they were completely protected from all evil. Padre Pio's answer was profoundly honest. Protection does not mean we will not face trials. Jesus himself suffered, but it means that in the midst of the trial, we will not be alone. I have seen souls on the edge of the abyss, tempted by despair so terrible they were about to commit unspeakable acts. But because they prayed even a simple rosary, Saint Michael was there holding his flaming sword between them and the abyss. Listen carefully to those words. Between them and the abyss. This means that perhaps you, at some point in your life, were closer to danger than you can imagine. And perhaps it was a rosary prayed by you, or by someone who loves you, that kept Saint Michael standing guard between you and the darkness. Padre Pio also insisted that the rosary prayed in the bedroom before sleep held a special power. He explained that the night is when the forces of evil are most active, when the soul is most vulnerable. When you pray the rosary before going to bed, it is like raising a wall of light around your resting place. Saint Michael, together with your guardian angel, stands guard throughout the entire night. Dreams become more peaceful, rest becomes more restorative, and the person awakens with a strengthened soul. In his final years, already very weak and ill, Padre Pio kept repeating the same message to anyone who would listen. Pray the rosary. Pray it in your rooms before you sleep. Saint Michael will protect you. Mary will cover you with her mantle, and sleep will be sweet under the gaze of the angels. Today, this very night, you have the same opportunity that those people had who heard these words directly from Padre Pio. A rosary, your room, sincere faith. That is all you need for all of heaven to descend and protect you. If this message touched your heart, I need to ask you something. Write in the comments, Saint Michael, protect me, as an act of faith. And if you have ever felt a special presence while praying the rosary, share your testimony. Your experience could strengthen the faith of someone who is going through a difficult moment today. Do not forget to subscribe and turn on the bell so you do not miss our next video, where we will reveal another supernatural vision of Padre Pio that the Church kept silent for decades. May Saint Michael the Archangel protect you tonight and always.